It really is a shame when you have to pwn one of your own. But the truth is that when someone's wrong, atheist or theist, you kind of have to make it known. And, alas, Nykytyne2 is very, very wrong. Incidentally, this is also the video I was working on when my computer died last time, so here's hoping.
Okay, so this is going to be the first philosophy video I've done in a long time, and I've been prompted to go back to it by the unlikeliest of persons, VenomFangX, who, about a week ago, made a video on morality and on objective versus subjective morality.
A subject near and dear to my heart, as all of you know. Let's do it.
Now, VenomFangX in this video, I have to admit that when I was watching this video, I almost came to like VenomFangX, to have a momentary fondness for him, because the man, it must be admitted, has balls.
Ew.
And it seems like he's not censoring his comments anymore, and I can respect that.
Somehow, VenomFangX hasn't gotten around to unblocking me yet.
The point is that a lot of people have reacted to VenomFangX by essentially agreeing with his premise that secularism or atheism and objective moral standards are incompatible.
Well, I don't think that objective moral standards exist at all. So, where does that leave us?
That we cannot believe in any kind of objective morality if we don't believe in a God that has prescribed that morality.
Well, even if a God did set up morality, that wouldn't make it objective. That would be God's opinion on what's moral and what isn't. It's not objective unless it's true regardless of anybody's opinion, even a God's.
And these people don't seem to just argue that, they seem to find it plainly absurd that these two things could coexist.
But morality is an opinion on how people ought to behave. And you can't get an is from an ought. So, how exactly are we going to get objective morality? Morality that is true regardless of opinion, which is, after all, what objective means.
I still think moral realism is worth defending, for reasons that I think are illustrated by a lot of contemporary applied ethical issues, especially ones pertaining to how to deal with ethical issues across cultures.
Actually, I'd say it's exactly the opposite. The fact that other cultures have different morals shows precisely that morality is not objective.
And I think people like Ayan Hirsi Ali, one of the bravest women on earth, who have come out and said that in defiance of the modern liberal assumption that values are entirely subjective and that it's in some way wrong for one culture to impose its values on another culture.
Not only are those actually separate issues, but the fact is that if morals are in fact relative, then how can it be wrong to do anything? We may not like it, we may think it's a bad idea, but wrong? Well, that's a matter of opinion, isn't it? Ayan Hirsi Ali has come out against this and says, no, that's not right. In fact, liberal Western values are in fact correct when they say that it is wrong to mutilate little girls' genitals without anesthesia. That is wrong, we can put our foot down, doesn't matter what culture you come from, doesn't matter what I personally believe about it, it's just wrong. Really? Well, what makes it so? I agree, I think it's wrong. But I know that that's just my opinion. I know that there is nothing in this universe, not a damn thing besides human thought, that makes it wrong. It's pure opinion. And that's something that I don't think you seem to get, is that people have opinions about these things, but for them to be objectively wrong, for them to be just wrong, and it doesn't matter what your opinion says or what my opinion says or what anyone else's opinion happens to be, it's just plain wrong? Well, that has to come from somewhere. And you can't show me where. Fact is, it's just human opinion. Doesn't matter if every human in the entire Western universe agreed. It wouldn't matter if every living, thinking, feeling being thought that it was wrong. It's still an opinion, and still therefore subjective. It has to be. It's only objective if it's true regardless of opinion, and it's not, and you can't show that it's not. Or if you can, I dare you. I double dog dare you.
I want to try to at least establish an intuitive belief in my audience so they can at least perhaps appreciate how it could possibly be true that there are objective morals, or that there is some objectivity to morality.
But don't you see, Nick? If we have an intuitive sense, well, isn't that pure subjectivity? To be objective, to be more than just a feeling, to be true regardless of what we think or feel, to be objective, it would have to be something that exists outside us. It can't just be something that feels right. That's pure subjectivity. That's the very definition of subjectivity. So you're really getting nowhere with this one.
So to do that, I want to create a little thought experiment in which I'm going to borrow some ideas from Christian theology.
Well, this is going to be a trip.
So imagine we have two potential worlds, heaven and hell. And in heaven, everyone is happy and blissful, and their preferences are satisfied, and there's no suffering or misery or sadness or pain. And in the other world, hell, there's no happiness, no love, no joy. Everyone's preferences always go unsatisfied, and people are in constant misery and torment.
Sounds like high school.
Now, I think it's clear, at least intuitively, that one of these worlds is better than the other, is preferable to the other.
Even if that were true, even if we ignored the fact that some people have a different opinion of what the world should be like, even if people had exactly the same opinion on what constitutes paradise, the fact is that just because we feel that this is better, just because we feel that this is right, that doesn't make it objectively so. Just means we dig it. And digging something is subjective. By definition, that's what the word bloody means, kiddo.
Heaven is clearly better than hell. And I think it's intuitive that that's the case. And it's intuitive that it doesn't matter what I think about it.
Wrong. Completely wrong. You see, the truth is that even if every human agreed, even if every human thought that heaven was better than hell, even if there were no masochists, even if there were no, goths who preferred hell to heaven, even if none of that existed, it would still be opinion, no matter how universal, that heaven is better than hell. I bet that there are creatures out there, maybe, deer or rabbits or something, that would look at the demise of the human race as a completely good thing. Woohoo, they're no longer hunting us. Maybe there's alien species out there that are like, aw, damn it, humanity, we loved anal probing them, or something, I don't know. Maybe those aliens probably don't exist. But the point being that it's 100% opinion, subjective opinion, that humanity's continued survival is good. It's 100% opinion that one environment is better than another. These are all subjective things. To be objectively true, it must be true regardless of opinion, outside of opinion. That's what objective means. So we can't have an objective morality because every human has an opinion on what is moral and what is not. That's what subjective means. That's what subjective morality is. There is no such thing as objective morality. It can't exist because morality is an opinion on what kind of behavior should happen. And shoulds are oughts. And you can't get an is from an ought. So there cannot be objective morality. That is an impossibility.
It is better to have a world in which everyone is in bliss than to have a world in which everyone is in constant torment.
I challenge you to tell me how that's anything other than opinion. Seriously, it's better? By what standard? Where does that standard come from? Just because we like it, well, that means we subjectively like it. It's not true regardless of opinion. And if you think it is, show me how. Prove it.
If you can follow me that far intuitively, then perhaps we can go to the next step.
Well, then I'm afraid, Nick, that we can't. You see, the problem is that I'm not going to trust my intuition. I want evidence. I mean, you're essentially asking me to go on faith. You're basically saying, hey, this is how you feel about this, right? So it must be true. How is that any different than you've felt God's presence, right? Well, then you know He's real. Seriously, think about it.
In acknowledging that the world in which we all live is, in fact, sort of a combination of heaven and hell, those two worlds, in the sense that there's bliss and misery, that there's pleasure and torment, and our actions can change the balance of happiness to misery.
It's true that our actions can have an effect on someone else's subjective mental state, but so what? I mean, that doesn't mean that morality is objective. It just means that we can have an effect on the world. That's all it means. But an emotion is an opinion about the state of the world, and therefore it's subjective. And so is morality, because morality is an opinion on how we feel about how other people, or ourselves, can or have affected the state of the world. So, again, it's subjective, not objective. Morality, I mean.
And if you follow me that far, then it follows from that the actions that increase happiness and decrease torment are preferable to the actions that do the reverse.
Preferable, Nick? Really? Now, I agree with you, but let's think about this for a minute. A preference is a subjective emotion. That's right. If morality is just about what's preferable, then morality is subjective.
So, while that certainly does not prove the metaethical certainty of a utilitarian-style system of secular ethics, it does, I hope, at least give my audience some intuitive idea of how such a system could be possible and what it could mean for a secular ethics.
I really wish you'd stopped right here.
To be objective.
Oh, epic facepalm. Nick, look, it's not objective. It's not. I mean, do you even know what those words mean? I've noticed that a lot of people tend to use them as if objective meant really, really, while subjective meant kinda, sorta, as if they lent a certain amount of legitimacy. And I can see how they do. I mean, if something is objective, it's true regardless of opinion, and that makes it harder to argue with, sometimes even impossible to argue with. And see, people would love to say, well, my morality is objective. You can't argue with it. But it's not true. It's really not true. It's all a matter of perspective and opinion. I mean, how do you not know this? How do you not have that from the definitions of the words, from how we reach moral and ethical conclusions? I genuinely don't understand why people have such a difficult time with this concept. I have a feeling it's because they're running on automatic instead of thinking. Until next time, fellow space travelers.